Gabe's free response AP calculus question. Mean value theorem. Calculator is required to solve this problem. Let f represent the differentiable function, allowing f of 3 equal x, or 6, and f of 6 equal 3. G represents the function. G of x equals f of x. Part A, explain why there must be a value using d for 3 is less than d and d is less than 6, and f prime of d equals -1. Part B, prove that g prime of 3 equals g prime of 6. Use that statement to explain why there must be a value for w for 3 is less than w and w is less than 6. That g double prime of w equals 0. Prove that f double prime of x equals 0 and graph of g has 0 points of inflection. D h of x equals f of x minus x. Explain why there must be a value for s for 3 is greater than s and s is greater than 6 and h of s equals 0. Okay, for the solution to part A and B, by using the mean value theorem, it will give the solution for constant d. F prime of d equals f prime of 6, or f of 6 minus f of 3 divided by, or over, 6 minus 3 equals 1, or -1. B, g of x and f prime of x, f prime of f of x times f prime of x. Okay, so g prime of 3 equals f prime of f3 times the f prime of 3 equals f prime of 6 times f prime of 3. And then g prime of 6 equals f prime of f6 times f prime of 6 equals f prime of 3 times f prime of 6. So that equals g prime of 6 equals g prime of 3. When mean value theorem is applied to g prime on the interval 3 to 6 guarantees the value of w.
Alright, this will be the explanation of Gabe and Evans' mean value theorem AP problem. I'll be explaining the solutions to part C and D and the rubric. So in the rubric, part A will be worth 2 points, 1 point for including the mean value theorem in the written conclusion, and 1 point for solving the equation, the basic mean value theorem equation, and getting -1. Part B will be worth 3 points, 1 point for solving for g prime of x, and 1 point for proving that g prime of 3 and g prime of 6 will be equal, and then 1 point for concluding that the mean value theorem using g prime with the mean value theorem. And part C will be worth 2 points, 1 point for solving for g prime, and the other point solving that f prime of x will equal 0 for all x values. And part D will be worth 2 points, 1 point for solving for h of 3 and h of x, or h of 6. Together that will be 1 point, and the other point will come from solving for the intermediate value theorem in your written conclusion. And so now explaining the solutions for part C and D, it will be basically the same thing from the rubric, that f prime of x will equal 0 for all values of x, and plugging that value into the g prime of x equation to solve for g prime. And then part D, proving that h of x equals f of x minus x, and that h of 3 will equal 3 and h of 6 will equal -3.